From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy. The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, we push back against the pity party. Despite winning a national title, it's still not great to be a Florida Gator. What's going to go down in the portal? What position needs to come in? What position is likely to be pushed out? And the rest of the great questions we've got in our Renegade Express mailbag. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Vitamin Energy works faster and longer than all the other shots out there. 5 hours? What? Why? It's 24 hours in a day. I'm up for at least 18 of them. Why don't I want 5 hours of energy? I want 7. I want more. You'll probably get that if you take a full shot of this stuff. I just take a half shot. Keeps me going all day long with vitamins and nutrients. Again, no sugar crash, just 260 milligrams of all natural caffeine and sometimes some green tea extract if you're getting the extra strength varieties. Try it out. Varieties, flavors of your choosing all over at vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. Sip the juice. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Won't you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, both to the premium stuff over on the On3 network as well as our YouTube channel. 2 varieties of the YouTube stuff. There's the free stuff. Then you also get the bonus access, or rather the access to the bonus hour of Seminole headlines if you're a YouTube members only member. You also get first debut access to any X's and O's with Dominic Robinson and Tom Lang. You get the cool emojis you can use during the live shows. I think somebody popped one out the other day when we were doing the recruiting chat. So all different levels to get involved into the family over here on warchant.com. Choose one. Choose wisely. No one more wise on the beat than Corey Clark in my estimation. I get to talk to him pretty much every single day for hours on end about this program. I consider myself lucky. How are you, Corey Clark?
I'm wonderful, buddy. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. And I trust you're doing well?
Yeah, man. Just going to be heading over to Jacksonville this weekend. Going to get a little double date action with my boy Mercedes Mike and his lady and mine.
Okay.
So
all right.
Doing all the adult grown-up things that you and I did a few weeks ago on our double date, too. Sorry, Sharon. Not a lot more details.
Y'all going to hit the landing?
I wish. R.I.P.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the landing.
I don't know. What are y'all going to do in Jax?
I'm just going to go grab dinner somewhere. Yeah, there's no real nightlife district out there. I don't even know if they're really trying to work on it. I mean, they've got like 5 Points or San Marcos, which are these quaint little neighborhoods that are near the river and the water. But she lives like in the south part of the county, so it's like a 30-minute drive. And I don't like driving all that much on the interstate out there. But that's for another podcast and on another day. What are you going to do this weekend, big dog?
I'll be up in Georgia, trying to get my little insight. Well, it's not insider info. It's just it's a life commentary. Is that I'm trying to get my house on the market. So getting that ready to sell up there. So that's the plan this weekend. I think Brady has a couple baseball games, and we're going to try to get the house ready to be sold.
You're out of there, Brady Clark. You're out. Get out there on your own, boy.
Yeah, enjoy your mom for the last year, buddy.
I remember, I shouldn't maybe say this out loud, but one of my friends was getting separated from his children's mother, and like they were going to stay with his mom, and we were like, man, like, aren't you sad? Like, you seem very upbeat. And he's like, give it 2 years. He's like, they're going to beg to come live with me. And
I don't know. Yeah,
2 years later,
they
came
begging,
to live with their dad. So
well, dads are typically more lenient and fun than the moms.
Yeah. All right, well, this is going to be a fun show. We got lots of questions in the mailbag. As we sit here and talk to you, nothing really of urgent nature that's come across the Florida State news wire. We did speak to Link on Thursday during his Zoom course. So Evan Crest is out for the remainder of the season, which I think most of us knew based on the way he reacted.
Unfortunately, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Bladen playing another bat that might be able to help out. Still not close. Jackson West day to day. And Chase Williams is back. And a lot of excitement behind that in terms of Link's comments. Check out the synopsis I put up on the board. If not, maybe put Link on 1.75 speed, and because it's like a 30-minute Zoom. But just lots of good stuff in there about him, admitting that, guys aren't pressing. Guys like Cal Fisher, that's not why he's pulling these guys out of the line. But it's not why he's he doesn't want them to press. He's just doing what he calls like his obligation to get this thing up and running. Goes into the scientific terms of pitch recognition and how important that is. Guys aren't seeing the secondary stuff well, which is making them vulnerable to the velocity stuff. So, I mean, just this guy knows the game so intimately that you just feel good about. I feel good about this weekend. So
all right. Well, that's good. All right. Well, good. Well, yeah, he's a good coach. So hopefully they can get it turned around. And that's really good news about Chase Williams. He's got an elite trait, which is his speed. He's one of the fastest players I would think in the country. I know when he was a senior in high school, he was timed as one of the fastest in the country. At least that's what Brady told me. So and he was actually starting to come around a little bit before he got hurt. That stuff is going to play. I think he's a switch hitter, but even if he's not, I know he's a left-handed hitter. I don't know if he's got any pop or not, but I know he can really run. And I assume he's a good defender because of that speed. So that could make it just gives them an extra. It gives them a platoon scenario with Delamelier in left. It also could make Delamelier could be a DH, and he could be a left fielder. Like who knows what they're going to do? But it gives them an extra bat in a kind of a really strong trait in the lineup, which is that speed. Him and Harrelson like back to back. Is a really nice setup for like him batting ninth, Harrelson batting 1 is a really nice setup for Lodis and Max.
Yeah, he was saying that everyone's pulse rises when he's at the plate, and if he gets on base, it's going to be a distracted pitcher that you're facing, which is going to obviously help out your offense. So all these little things.
It was a sneaky. You didn't realize that it was a loss because they kept winning games. Yeah. But, yeah, man, that's a guy that they were counting on a lot. That's why he started. That's a guy they were counting on a lot when the season began, and they haven't had him for, I feel like, a month. So, yeah, he might remind everybody here soon why Link was so excited about him in the first place.
We shall hope. Florida State taking on Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. They're going from Atlanta to Roanoke. Tallahassee to Atlanta to Roanoke, and then Atlanta to Roanoke, and then busted to Blacksburg. So, Godspeed to those young men. Let's get it started. This would have been a tough one if I didn't cop out and pick out Dalvinism yesterday and do an unorthodox way of generating discussion. We got lots of good ones. Let's start off with our guy, Jaronol 1518. Need you to tap into your reverend. I need you to become Deacon Clark here and lift up the souls.
Great.
How much self-pity should our fan base feel? Our basketball team, our best basketball team ever, rather, was led by a class act of a coach who had built up the program over many years and doesn't get a chance at a Final Four run because of COVID. 5 years later, our rival with a potentially creepy coach who was seemingly born yesterday microwaves the title overnight. The 2023 football snub will never be experienced by another program ever again. We are the first and the last to be denied a playoff berth as an undefeated power conference team in favor of teams with losses or a loss. Yep. And then, of course, all the instances of a great baseball program coming up short in Omaha. Those were at least settled on the field by the players and coaches, except, of course, for last year's check swing debacle that may have very well kept us out of the championship series. I need someone to talk me off the ledge.
All fair points. I would say that it's the perspective, though, man. Like, think of all, Florida's had some horrible losses, too, and some horrible seasons as well. I don't know that. It's a great deal for them to win a basketball title. I'm not sure that takes away the pain of the Dan Mullen, Greg McElvain, who else years? Ron Zook. I know he was
Will
before
Muschamp.
Urban Meyer. Will Muschamp, whoever was after
Jim
him.
McElwain, by the way.
Jim McElwain, sorry. Greg. I was thinking of Greg McElroy. Traitor. Don't McElroy, we ain't forgot, buddy. I wouldn't say Florida fans, even though they have a baseball title and a basketball title in the last 15 years, I don't know that makes them feel great when they're driving home from the swamp on a Saturday night, having watched another loss, and they've watched a lot of losses these last 15 years. They haven't been relevant. They haven't had an undefeated season. Urban Meyer left, and the program has not been close to the same. And I know they had a nice finish to last season. Maybe DJ Lagway is the best player of all time. I don't know, but I know the last 15 years has been not fun for them. Meanwhile, your football team in the last 15 years has had a 29-game winning streak, a 19-game winning streak, 2 undefeated seasons, and a national championship. And I know it was 12 years ago, but you were also, as you just said, you were snubbed for a spot 2 years ago. You went 13-0 and beat that team. Beat that team 2 years in a row. So and that's just Florida. You go around the country, man. Like, it just, I think what happens is, yes, there's been a lot of heartbreak at Florida State. And the snub on top of COVID ruining the all-time best basketball season, and the baseball team never getting it done in Omaha leaves a hole in your heart. Makes you feel sorry, makes you have some pity, but you get to cheer for Florida State. You're not a Rice fan. You're not a Houston fan or a Wisconsin fan. Like, you've won some things in your life, and you've gotten to see greatness a lot since your childhood, since you ever became a Florida State fan. You've gotten to see great plays, great moments, great coaches, great wins in all varieties of sports. It's just, you haven't won the championships in baseball and basketball, but it's still been you have it better than most, I guess, would be my perspective on that. Aslan, agree or disagree?
I agree. We're so close to it. I'm sure if this was Wake Up Trojans, we would lament that USC has not been good at baseball in however many decades since they ran the entire sport. Football has not really been relevant in the month of November other than the Caleb year where they choked and gagged against Utah. I'm sure UCLA basketball hasn't felt really great about themselves for a long while. I mean, I know they made it to Final Four a few years ago with my boy Mick Cronin. Think about Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, and really think about a lot of teams in the SEC. Like, I know they puff their chest out a lot because of the conference they're in, but Ole Miss fans, Mississippi State fans, South Carolina fans, Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, like A&M, they've done nothing. They've never experienced what Florida State fans, just in football alone, have gotten to experience 3 times. But you also got to cheer, if you're old enough, you got to cheer for Warwick Dunn and Charlie Ward and Bobby Bowden. And you got to see Dion. And if you're younger, you still got to see Jameis and Rashad and Derwin and Jalen and Jordan Travis and Keon. Like, you've had it better than most. It's just I know it's painful to watch your rival win a basketball title.
Let us go to
it was a swing.
Yeah,
that should have been the third out.
Yeah. Quint67. Wake up. Great job to the Warchant and 93.3 team for breaking down the scrimmage. We appreciate the insights. Has not been a great few days for Seminole fans. We could use a feel-good moment. Let's talk about something positive. Question. Other than the ACC championship game, which of Mike Norvell's wins meant the most for this program? Go Noles, S. Quinn, 67, class of 93. I wonder if that's actually saved and programmed, and if that's like part of his signature, or if he manually types that out every time he posts. Appreciate it nonetheless.
I would say my initial thought is LSU 22, the one in New Orleans. Because it
meant the most for him. I don't know about most for the program, but it meant the most for him for sure.
Well, isn't that what the question was?
Well, it meant most for the program. I think it would just be overall. I guess, I don't know. Do you think fans? That's definitely in the top 5 wins of the Norvell era, I would say.
But then I would say the next LSU game, because that was a top 10 matchup. Florida State was an underdog, even though they'd beaten them the year before. It kind of controlled that game until the debacle at the end. And then they're an underdog, and they go and roll them in front of the entire country. Mm-hmm. That was a big time win for the program. That kind of established that, Florida State can be really good again. It's hard to really comment on, though. Was it really that big for the program when the next year was what it was? Like, it didn't like it. That's why it's hard. I guess that one. But I think the fact that I think if they lose that game to LSU in New Orleans, Norvell might not be here right now. Because I think there's a chance that thing could have spiraled off the rails if they had blown that game because of that toss sweep that Trayshawn Ward fumbled at the 2-yard line when the game is essentially over. So Shaheem blocking that at PAT, them having a 10-win season, I think that kind of that was a big one. But it's hard to say which. It's hard to say. It's not like the Bowden years where it's like, the 1980 win at Nebraska or the 1987 win at Auburn. Like all these things that like propelled great seasons or a dynasty. Because we don't know how this is going to end. Like, if Norvell's fired after this next year, none of them were big. And it just, again, it goes back to, I don't think Tate Rodemaker had what it takes to beat Michigan. I don't know if that was in him, but he should have gotten that chance. The fact that he didn't get that chance almost makes all those 2023 wins meaningless. They didn't mean anything. They could have lost those games.
It was short-lived, right? Like that.
Yeah.
They couldn't even really capitalize on thumping an SEC team like that because within, 2 months, the offense started being a little bit sluggish, and then the fix was in. A lot of people think, right? Like that's ESPN starts talking about.
Correct.
Well,
yeah. I was thinking about this the other day. So let's say that Alabama, because my point all along, way back when, is records don't matter, right? It's who the committee thinks, blah, blah, blah. We all know that if Auburn knocks down that 4th and 31 pass, it doesn't matter if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game. They're not getting in with 2 losses. They're not going to have a 2-loss team jump a 0-loss team. I in my heart, I believe that. But what I think would have happened is Georgia would have gone.
Probably, yeah.
Because that was their only loss. Yeah. They were playing essentially without Bowers and McConkey. They were limited, and it was a 1-score game. So I think this whole time I've been thinking, well, if Auburn had knocked that pass away, Florida State's in. I'm like, no. Then Georgia would have been in because they had 1 loss. And it was 1 loss to Alabama on a neutral site without 2 of their playmakers.
Quote-unquote neutral site.
Yeah, well, right, yeah. So that I really, truly wonder. So then maybe Texas is out. Because Texas got in because Alabama had to get in. Texas beat Alabama. But if Alabama's not in, then maybe it's Georgia and Florida State that are the Final 4. Would be. I think Georgia.
I think
gets
that's
in
the way
over
it
Texas.
works out. Yeah, because Alabama loses. That's their 2nd loss.
If Alabama loses
and
to
then,
Auburn,
so Texas is not as big of a deal as slaying
yeah.
the dragon, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but either way, that's what it's hard to answer that question because it's hard to say any of those wins were meaningful when they didn't get to play for a championship. They didn't get them into the Final 4. It's like they won the Elite 8 game, and then the committee was like, "No, we're still gonna that team you just beat. We're gonna let them go to the Final 4 anyway."
I watched the Final 4 at home. I wish I was at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. I will redeem myself by going to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill next week on a Thursday, right? Isn't the golf tournament going down next Thursday?
That's right, my man. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll be there after the it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun day that Thursday. But yeah, that'll be Thursday for lunchish is when all the golfers will come and get to partake at Corner Pocket.
If you're not participating in the Jeff Cameron Charity Golf Tournament, well, then just come on out and hang out with all of us around lunchtime at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Take advantage of the daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for only $8.99. Comes with a side dish of your choice, those entrees. Live music coming back in May, feels like. But there's plenty to do regardless of the day or if there's live music or not. There's a jukebox, there's a dartboard, there's a pool table, there's awesome people, tables, high tops, the bar, ice-cold drinks, delicious food. It's all in one place. It's all the place. It's called Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com. That's the website. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Noles forever. The number 4 and then ever. Given that this is Masters Week, the prior winner picks dinner for a winner's dinner. What would you pick as the reigning champion? Also, which of the former FSU golfers stands the best chance to win this week? I mean, Scotty's menu is pretty bulletproof in my opinion. I don't think there was any swine on it, so I was really excited about that. I don't eat pork. Everybody else always seems to figure out a way to throw pork into things. But Scheffler's dinner was cheeseburger sliders and firecracker shrimp for the appetizer, as well as his dad's meatball and ravioli bites. Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. First course, Texas-style chili. The main course was your choice of wood-fired cowboy ribeye, which, hell yeah, or blackened redfish. The dessert was a warm chocolate chip skillet cookie.
I mean, I just thought I didn't know you gave options to people. I thought it was like, this is what it's going to be. Either eat it or don't. It's my dinner.
The entree, they get an option. But everything else
nonsense. When Sandy Lyle won, isn't he from Scotland? And they served haggis.
Ew, really?
Like, gross. Yeah, I know. But nobody was like, I'll take the ribeye instead. I don't think that was an option. Now these golfers today, Aslan, they all got their nutritionists and their diets, and they can't eat haggis. Mine would obviously be the Corey wrap from Corner Pocket with Register's Bites from Corner Pocket. And then...
My gosh, according to the BBC, he had a distinctly Scottish menu featuring haggis, neeps, and taties, which are mashed potatoes and mashed turnips, as well as broiled pompano.
Yeah.
I hope
that's
he's
why
never won a
That's
tournament
why he
since
never won
then.
again. Yeah, he never won again. They made sure of it. They did something to his balls, like his golf balls, and made sure he couldn't ever win again because that's just gross.
And the people that don't know it, sorry, Corey, haggis is a savory pudding containing sheep's pluck, which is heart, liver, and lungs, minced with chopped onion, oatmeal, suey, spices, and salt.
And if anybody really wants to get into like the Masters dinner conversation and the winners and what they serve, I know we have some younger listeners that have probably never heard the name Fuzzy Zeller. Go just Google Fuzzy Zeller Tiger Woods and just realize what kind of and then after that, go Google Alcampanis and then Jimmy the Greek and see what stuff was thrown at us when we were growing up in our formative years, and give us a break. Like I powered through all that nonsense. We powered through it. Aslan and I powered through that. That's what was in front of us. They sort of got, Jimmy the Greek absolutely got canceled. Well, so did Alcampanis. They got canceled before it was even a term.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Fuzzy Zeller thing was unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But anyway, it's just that was I just remembered that how crazy that was. But yeah, so mine would be stuff from corner. It'd be the registered sausage bites, a Corey wrap, and then for dessert, I don't really eat dessert.
Key lime pie over here.
No, Reese's peanut butter cups.
Okay.
The big cups. Right. The big cups, not the normal ones from our childhood, but the big ones.
Yeah,
By the way, go to any gas station. Reese's is out of control. They have like 45 different items.
Yeah.
They take up the whole candy aisle. It's just forms of chocolate and peanut butter with nonsense thrown in the middle. It's crazy what they've become.
What about the fact that he's got something from his family clan in there? He's got Papa Chef's meatball and ravioli bites. Is there anything John or Sharon made, particularly in the Clark household, that you'd want to put on the menu that's, quintessential Clark?
My mom still makes, at 82, still makes the best fried eggs I've ever had. It's not even close. Okay. I've tried them all over this world, from all walks of life. Okay. Her fried eggs are unbelievable. Now, I don't know if people are going to want to eat that for dinner, but still, her fried eggs are great, so that would be on the menu. Mom's fried eggs, along with all Bill's stuff from Corner Pocket.
Okay. I'd probably throw in some of my dad's kebabs. Beef and lamb. It's delicious. Change your life, everybody. All right, back on the train here. Let's get to some of these questions. Let's go to something that's more football-centric. Let's go to our guy, Mark. I'm Adam CZ. Wake up. Who's your Masters? Oh, we're going to talk about our Masters pick. He gives us Masters pick. Scotty or Rory. He says Bryson, although he's got a hunch of Shane Lowry and Koepka will be in contention. Koepka, right? That's got to be the answer for Florida State, former golfer that's got the best shot at winning this thing, yeah?
I mean, it's a major, and it's all he cares about. So I would assume. Who else is in it? I know Berger's in it.
Is Jonas Blick still out there on the circuit?
I don't know, and I don't think Luke Clanton is playing. So I think it's just those two, unless there's somebody else I'm not remembering. But yeah, I think the answer has to be Koepka. We can say Berger though. Maybe this fits his game, the Augusta. I really don't know. I know he's really good because he's on the PGA Tour and has made a lot of money.
All right, Corey said on the morning's show, or this morning's past show, that his current assessment of the roster is standing pat, and that's an 8-win roster. Fair. Does that include those early games against the FCS Cupcakes? If so, that means they go 6-4 the rest of the way, and that games other than Clemson, Miami, Bama, and Florida are must-wins. Also, NC State on the road in a weird Friday night game, which screams an L. Makes the early road game at Virginia very interesting with Miami looming. Let's say Chroma gets on campus as the real deal and adds and makes Gus's running attack more dangerous. Does that change your assessment? Yeah, man. If they got like a really legit, like a 1,200-yard running back.
Well, yeah, but yes,
that would be real deal to me. I think.
Yeah, but I would say that what I would. When it comes to that, the framing of that question, that assumes that I think they're going to lose those 4 games, all 4 of those games that he mentioned. I don't know that I believe that. None of those are not winnable. But I just wonder, even if he's the real deal, like Dalvin was as a freshman, or other guys have been as a freshman, I don't know that it's going to matter against Alabama. I have a hard time thinking a true freshman that wasn't here can get this done, can be like a starter 100-yard rusher against Alabama. You know what I mean? So I don't know that he matters much against Alabama, but I think the rest of the season, yes, if you have an electric running back to go along with Tommy Castellanos at quarterback, you're going to have one of the best rushing attacks in the country. And if you have one of the best rushing attacks in the country, I do think you're going to be better than 6-4 against your 10 real opponents. So I would that would probably adjust me to 9 or 10 wins, I think, if he ends up being the real deal.
So I think he got burned in the second game of the season in 2014, Dalvin. 13 carries for 67, but it was against Citadel.
Yeah, and then he didn't really play because he didn't play at all against Clemson.
Had one carry for 3 yards.
Yeah, I think he didn't really play until the Syracuse game when Pender got hurt. Carlos Williams was out. Pender was the main guy, and then Pender got hurt, and Dalvin came in, and then Dalvin took care of the rest.
23 for 122 and a tutty. He had 45 on 6 carries and a touchdown in Raleigh. But everybody,
right.
I mean, Christian Green scored a touchdown in that game. God love him. But everybody was scoring in that game. 56 points, everybody got some. Clearly not Alabama, that NC State game. But it was rainy. That was post-suspension Jameis. They were probably in a little bit of a weird headspace, the team. So I give him credit for showing up and showing out.
And he had a big touchdown run in that game, and then that was like 56-40 or something.
45, I think it said.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't beat Florida without
41,
Dalvin.
Sorry,
they don't beat Florida without Dalvin that year. I don't think because Jameis was bad in that game, and they don't beat Miami without Dalvin that year. So true freshmen can matter. But it's like, man, is this kid Dalvin Cook?
Right,
You know what I mean? That's a big ask. Even if he's not Dalvin Cook, he could still be really good. But Dalvin Cook's the best running back in school history. Love you, Warwick Dunn. Dalvin Cook's the best running back in school history. I don't expect this guy to be that. But he's also going to be rushed in a running attack, in an offense where they always have 1,100-1,500-yard rushers. So maybe it works out, man.
It is, yeah. I mean, Gus is the guy that makes everything simple so people can dive in and get loose. I mean, let's think that he's not Dalvin overall, but just has some kind of virtuoso freshman luck performance against Alabama. I mean, does that change your mind about the 8 wins of the roster? You bring a guy like that in, or
if he hits a couple of big runs against Alabama, it's a lot to ask to think that a true freshman running back, even one that's very talented, is going to be that big a difference maker. But I would say this. If they don't go and get a running back in the portal after spring, I think that's what they're banking on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they're banking on this kid as the real deal. We've already spent a lot of money on him. We expect him to be good. He's ready to play this season. He is going to play a lot this season. If they're thinking about redshirting him like they did Lorenzo Booker back in the day, even though he's the number 1 player in the country, then and I say that in quotes, then I think that if they're going to redshirt him, then they need to go. If they don't think he's going to play him a lot in September, if he's not the starting running back by week 3, then me personally, I don't know, man. I don't know if you go get another running back or not. That's not your biggest need. I still think your biggest need is defensive line. You always need defensive linemen, especially if the kid from Tennessee is not going to be available. So I would still put my money there, but getting a special running back would be nice.
Island Chief. He's got some jokes mixed in here. Wake up! Since we, only get Coach Norvell, providing updates on practices, I have been, I got to limit all the you-knows. I have been listening to what he says and doesn't say. At least twice this spring, he has said some players weren't taking advantage of their opportunities. Is that concerning that guys aren't all in and could, we see something like the Turk at the end of the spring? Bring me your playbook. Coach wants to see you. Has Coach always thrown in the you-knows at this rate before? I can't comment on that. I haven't paid as much attention to it as a lot of other people have, but I think there's a good question in there, Corey, and it kind of dovetails into you talking about, do they add a running back? I do wonder how many. It does feel like if we're going to give him credit, Mike Norvell, that is for kind of changing the tone of the way he's talking about this team. during the preseason, which again, after the Tuesday practice, was not happy. I've sent a message and guys are being held accountable. I would think that in years past, we would sit here and spend at least like 10 minutes on at least 2 or 3 shows every year. Like who's going to leave? Like who's going to get processed? Who's going to get pushed out? Feels like maybe he's setting the stage for like he's going to hold people accountable. I'm not saying that's necessarily kicking guys out of the program, but like there's going to be steps and a process that if you do not meet his expectations, if you do not meet the standard, you're going to be looked at after spring and told that, this probably isn't the place for you. So I would think there's going to be a decent amount of attrition. I can't put a number on that. I know they've got the 105 person roster to maintain once this house thing process is through. So what do you think? Do you think that we could see maybe a more cold-hearted Mike Norvell after spring's over in terms of getting guys in and out?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the question the other day about him not being – are people saying – we heard this a bunch last year about him not being happy with the way they practiced, which was – you and I both pushed back on that because, no, you didn't. Right. So I think that's the same thing. It goes back into that mindset in that change in philosophy where, I think he's always been a pragmatist. I think there have been times where he's let people go or told them they need to go. I think he's a little more public in his disdain now, not specifically about players, but maybe the way some of them, without naming names, he's more public in his disdain for the way they practiced. And I absolutely 100%, I don't know if he's more cold-hearted, but I think he would absolutely tell players, you're not cutting it, you don't belong here. That is the way of the world, man. Yeah. Again, this is not 2018. This is not 2008 or 1998. These players are on a payroll. They're all getting paid something, and when you're getting paid something, you need to earn the paycheck. And if you're being told, man, we need you to step up, and you continue to don't step up, or you continue to half blanket, then he has every right to say sorry. You need to go somewhere else. You've been cut. I mean, that's the way of the world, and. He would probably be a hard ass anyway, man, if they were 10-2 last year. But they went 2-10. He doesn't have time to worry about people's feelings. He's got to turn this program around. And I would absolutely expect after the spring a few more people. And it may not be so much even Norvell saying, man, you got to get up out of here. It might be people having realistic expectations or having, looking in a mirror, looking at a depth chart and saying, yeah, man, I'm never going to play here. I need to go find my level. I need to go find another place where I'll get a chance to play. That's what I think will happen whenever that. I mean, I know every time we bring up the portal, I feel like I know.
April 16th.
There it is. Nailed it. So next Wednesday.
Yep.
So the day before the golf tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the portal opens, right? And it's open for a couple of weeks.
Till the 30th.
Yeah, there you go. So I think that's. I definitely think that you'll see some more Florida State players in the portal. I also don't think they're done adding to their roster. I mean, I just feel like you have to. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say you have to. This is such a big year, and if there's somebody that becomes available, or there's somebody that you think you absolutely have a shot to get, this is such a big year. You need to try to get them here. This doesn't need to be a rebuilding year. Like right when we talked yesterday, and I'm like, I think this is an 8-win roster. Mm-hmm. Well, buddy, you don't need an 8-win roster. You need an 11-win roster. Yeah. So go get that. Whatever that you've now had a month to identify, and more importantly, the coaches you brought in have had a month to identify exactly what they're working with. Exactly what they're working with. And so now they know they're not just watching guys on film from last year's debacle. They're not just watching guys run around in shorts at tour duty. They have worked with them in a football sense for 6 weeks. They've gotten to see them on the grass, as Tony White likes to say. Mm-hmm. They know what they have now. And I would think that they absolutely, in some areas, me personally would think they're not going to stand pat. They're going to have to add some.
All right, so you said defensive line probably biggest need. Let me wear the black hat. What position do you think is most likely to have a loss of scholarship players? I shouldn't say most. Like that's actually I need to kind of walk back my phrase. I just think looking at running back, they technically have 5 on scholarship right now if you count Jalen Lucas, which I'm not saying he's not a running back, but he just feels so niche.
Does Croma count?
No, because
So
right now
they're going to have 6.
They've got Cam Davis, Roydell, Jalen Lucas, Keziah, and Sam Singleton right now.
Yeah, and then Cromaw, who might be better than all of them, you hope, is number 6.
Yeah, so I would imagine maybe one of those scholarship guys like, I know that Gus is going to run everybody into the ground here in a good way, and I might get my opportunity, but there might be better, quicker, urgent opportunity elsewhere. I feel like that, although then it's like defensive back is probably a good pick because there's just so many of them. So just in terms of like the numbers. But I think running back in terms of like a scholarship guy probably is most likely to have a dent in it.
Yeah, maybe. It'll be interesting at quarterback too.
Yeah. Let's go to Bennett-Knoll! ! Morning, guys. I think coaching continuity is very important. I like all of our current coordinators and head coach, but we all know it's just a matter of time until one or both of our coordinators are offered head coaching jobs somewhere else. Tell that to Alex Atkins and Adam Fuller. Tell it to us a year and a half ago. Anyways, if you could keep only one of the coordinators, which one would it be? Then, if you could keep Mike, Gus, and Tony, how does that become a reality? Thanks, and go Noles.
I mean, I just don't think I don't know that it would be a reality. Either Tony White's going to be really good and get a head coaching job, or he's going to not do – like if Tony White's not a head coach in 3 years, it means things didn't go well here.
Right.
That's my opinion. Same with Malzahn. And if they're not going well here, none of them will be here. Yeah. So that's kind of the reality of the situation. It's just how it works, man. Like in this day and age, you get a good coordinator, you hope you have him for a couple of years, get back on track, and then take one of his disciples and push him into that role so you don't have to change anything. But you're not I can't foresee a scenario where people are loving life and Tony White is still your DC in 2028. I just think he's going to be somewhere else, and more power to him. He wants to go get a head coaching job, which most coaches do, and we know Gus does. Well, I guess I say we know, we don't. Maybe he really does. He's done with it. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think he's doing this to be a head coach again in the SEC. But and this was a soft landing spot, so he didn't have to get fired from UCF if they had another bad year. But yeah, man, the reality is, and Norvell had done this before, like in Memphis. Like every year he was losing half his staff, and he still, replaced them with good guys that he won 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 games again. So he's done this before, which is what makes last year so confusing and frustrating, is that it was the exact same staff looking at making evaluations, developing, coaching that turned in that performance. So it's just really, really bizarre. But yeah, I think I like all three of them. I do. I think Gus has the best track record out of all three of them for what he's assigned to do at this school, which is to produce an offense that can score points and gain yards and run the ball. He's proven he can do that for the last 20 years. Tony White's been a good defensive coordinator for 4. Mike Norvell's been a good head coach for, 4 years out of 8, 7, 4 years out of 7 maybe. But Malzahn has the best. Malzahn's the one I trust the most this year to have
to accomplish the assignment, as you said. You
right,
coordinate an offense. Maybe not be the head coach. 20 years from now, maybe Tony White's the most successful head coach out of all 3 of these guys, possibly.
And Tony White might be awesome this year. Yeah. He might turn this defense into a top 10 defense. I have no idea. I just know that Gus Malzahn is going to put an offense together that's going to do better than 14 touchdowns.
Yeah, there's no way you keep all 3 of these guys more than I think even 2 years might be kind of pushing it, because money's not going to be an object either. Because if they'll be successful, like Tony White's, he's interviewed for head. This isn't a Mickey Andrews, Bud Foster thing where I came up with this guy, I'm content in my station in life. Although did Mickey ever do it? He had to interview for a head coaching job somewhere, I feel like.
The talk was Houston offered him a job way back when, and he said no. I don't think he ever really pursued it. Yeah. Also back then, I don't think defensive guys were really promoted like offensive coaches were to be head coaches. But yeah, he was, again, that's why he should have something named after him, because he was absolutely loyal to this university and was a key figure as to why it became what it became.
Yeah, but so right now, Tony White's going to make $1.5 million this year. If they end up going 12-2 and then lose like in the semifinals of the playoff because they had an incredible defense. I mean, you could throw him $3 million, but I think he'd probably get a head coaching job somewhere else and get paid $6 million.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. Again, just being pragmatic and thinking about how the sport works now. I would be surprised, even if they have a really good year this year, that he's a one and done. But yes, he would be if they have a turnaround like that and get to the playoff. Then okay, yeah, that's a bummer that you lose Tony White, but you just went to the playoffs after 2-10. You're still feeling pretty good about things. My thought would be if they're good 2 years from now, really good, then Norvell might be poached by someone.
Oh.
And then Tony White's your head coach.
What a world.
But you know what I'm saying? Or Malzahn has an incredible offense. Norvell gets poached. Malzahn becomes your head coach. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. That's how things can work. I just would be surprised after the I guess the more likely scenario is that Tony White, if he has a really good year or two at Florida State, is going to be going somewhere to be head coach.
You mentioned the way the plan of succession at so many of these places, like, all right, the coordinator leaves and then you kind of promote one of his underlings. Clemson, maybe not the best example, but it's the only example I can think of. Like Brent Venables leaves, and then you elevate Wes Goodwin to become the defensive coordinator. The thing with Tony White, I think like Tony White's taking everybody with him, I feel like. If he gets a head coaching, and again, I don't want to put too much in this. I know Jeff talks glowingly about Tony White. I don't want to be the second. I don't want to be like
we're way ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, but I just feel like, again, it'd be a good problem if he gets poached as a head coach somewhere because, again, to leave a place like Florida State to take a head coaching job somewhere else, I don't think he leaves to take a head coaching job at Texas San Antonio. I think he leaves to take a job at, like, Rutgers at worst, right? It's still going to be like a Power 5 job that's going to pay you $6 million a year. But I would think, like, all the guys that he brought with him, like Terrence Knighton and Evan Cooper, like, those guys are going to go with him. But then you worry about that plan of succession when it gets here, I guess.
Well, or Terrence Knighton, again, I don't know if he'd even want to do this.
He's the DC or whatever?
You could promote him to DC.
Yeah.
Now, he'd probably be the DC at Rutgers, too, with Tony White, but we all know Tony White's going to be running that defense if he's the head coach at Rutgers. Here, Terrence Knighton would have full reign to be the defensive coordinator. So that stuff does happen, but again, we are way ahead of ourselves. No reason to even talk about this right now. He's an awesome interview. I like him a lot as a person, it seems. I mean, again, I've only known him in these settings where we interview him, but he seems like a genuinely good person and a really insightful person, a fun person to play for, just a cool energy about him. But he hasn't coached a game yet, so let's see how we're talking about him in the third quarter against Alabama.
Also, getting ahead of ourselves, I would say root for Arkansas and root for UCLA to do well.
Okay. Why?
Well, I think Arkansas is a natural landing spot for Gus if Sam Pittman crashes out this year. And then I think if Deshaun Foster doesn't improve, I think like UCLA probably would cut ties. They did interview Tony White, and then Tony White didn't get the job, and he's from the West Coast. It feels like that would be a job I think that he would like jump at. Like if Rutgers was,
it's a Big Ten job.
Yeah, I still think that's why I was even saying Rutgers. I don't think it's a very attractive job, but it still is a Big Ten job, and you're still going to have money to jump and get it. So, but yeah, let's all talk about that when we're getting ready for our quarterfinal matchup against Arch Manning and the Horns.
Yeah.
Is that who we want?
Yeah, that's the come and get some, Arch. Come and get some. James Williams coming off the edge. Come on now.
If somebody's made it this far in the podcast, you can't do it next week, but stow it away. And then if you unleash this question, it will be the generating discussion question that we will showcase, Corey. I think it would be create the absolute perfect playoff bracket for Florida State to win a national title. Like, what teams would you want to play?
Kent State first in the semis.
Like, do you want to be at, like, again, perfect, right? Like, do you want to be at home first round?
Oh.
Or do you want to be on the road and beat a team that you hate? Like, somehow maybe you end up playing Miami. Like, Miami wins the conference, and then you're the backup team, but you go down to Miami and you pound. Just think about it, maybe. Think about it, people. We're not going to talk about it now.
All right.
All right, we're about done. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. We've got another question, though, here on the Renegade Express. VitaminEnergy.com, by the way. Check that out. Little off the beaten path here. Our guy Sam E. Knoll very active member of warchant.com, also the internet as a whole. He's doled out 11,791 thumbs ups, likes.
Oh, wow. There you go,
Network.
Sam. Nice.
He's posted 4,219 times since July 25th, 2002. So
old school. He was there for July of 2002, man. He was excited to see that Lorenzo Booker kid.
I'm sorry, 2022.
Come on, man.
Well, I'm sure he was at Warchant, or the old network.
I'm sure he was excited about
2002.
Booker too. But that was you missed it all. You were off by 20 years.
What's crazy is didn't we hop over like in August? It was funny because some people knew that we were moving networks. So they joined on 3 and like create and got their names like picked out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So good times. And then we had such a fun little season that year. Hopefully it all comes back. Anyhow, here we go. For the last 2 years, I've done a family March Madness pool. My wife, 12-year-old son, 7-year-old daughter, and I all competed against each other both years, and everyone got to pick a prize within reason if they won. Last year, my daughter absolutely dominated the pool and ended up with 2 pet mice. Oh, my gosh. My whole body. Ugh. Come on, Sam.
For experiments, I hope. Well, I guess she said pets, so I guess they weren't for experiments.
Yeah. This year, same thing, same offer. This time, I smartly entered both of my kids' brackets into a friend's $50 pool with 400 entries and some pretty serious money on the line. Again, my 7-year-old daughter crushed all of us in the family pool. She got 53 out of 63 games correct, including all of the Final Four. And she had Florida winning over Houston for the national title. This was good enough to get second place in the $400 entry money pool behind only my dad, an FSU law grad and diehard Nole, who inexplicably had the same Final Four and UF beating Houston. On Monday night, I found myself rooting for the Gators.
Oh, because of the money and for the daughter. Yeah,
albeit quietly, he says. Yeah. My wife, an FSU grad, and son were both saying, go Gators. My daughter might as well be a full-blown UF fan now. She was sweating every play of every Florida game like it was life and death, and even doing the chomp vomit emoji face. Have I failed as a parent? Is there any sort of rehab my family needs to do to atone for these sins? How do I make sure my daughter isn't a lifelong UF fan now? Any advice is appreciated.
I guess tell her about Aaron Hernandez. Just Tank like Black. Sit her down. Yeah, Tank Black. Yeah, sit her down. Chris Rainey, in his texting back in the day, like there's some ways to get her back on your side. But I think that's cool. Just that they were that invested. Brady's not that invested now, and he's 16. For them to be that invested in games is cool. I know it's money and prizes, but I'll be honest with everyone here. You guys know how I bet. I do it as an emotional hedge sometimes. I wasn't that upset that Florida won the national championship because I got a little richer.
Unbelievable.
Because of it. So whatever gets you through the day to make you rationalize that Florida's got such a better basketball program. But, yeah, there's got to be some I don't know, man. There's got to be some work done in this summer to get your daughter back on track. Oh, it sounds like all of them. Did she say all of them were saying
the wife and the son were both saying go Gators.
The wife is an FSU grad. Yeah, so that's fine. I think I'm going to go ahead and give her the benefit of the doubt and say she was doing it ironically. But she's still going to be doing the war chant when they play Florida. Let's hope. But yeah, the daughter and the son is who I would worry about the most. So you got to nip that in the bud real quick, and just tell them the stories of Florida, and start obviously with Aaron Hernandez. Tell them how much they cheated in the '80s. Ernest
Graham whining about I twisted my knee.
Yeah, that and look, Reggie Nelson wasn't the best person in the world either. No. But Steve Spurrier, all the times he took shots at Florida, which is essentially like taking shots at their dad and the team he loves. So there's a lot of again. I go back to the fact that they cheated. They cheated in the '80s, which is how Florida State became good in football. Anyway, if you want to get into that, Florida being on 2 years of probation in the mid '80s kind of set the stage for the '85 and '86 recruiting classes that Florida State was able to land that turned Florida State into a dynasty. So. There's a lot to unpack when you're trying. There's a lot to ammo, I guess I should say, to get them back on your side. Just Steve Spurrier versus Bobby Bowden.
Yeah.
Good versus evil. Come on, that's all. That's it. That's all you need.
Jim McElwain, Sharks.
That's a great one too, Aslan.
Dan Mullen, Darth Vader masks.
Yeah. Yep. Todd Golden.
Yeah.
And what he was alleged to
Dubious.
have done, now clearly wasn't true. I
Dubious.
guess it wasn't true, but what he was alleged to have done.
I would also say next road trip, just play the Florida Fight song on loop. I think that'll drive them crazy enough, and they'll never want to hear that song. You hear it once, you never want to hear it again. It sounds like you're in some kind of acid trip gone wrong song that would be played in like Clockwork Orange if Clockwork Orange was shown at a circus. It's the worst. It's terrible. It's terrible.
I tell you what you don't do. You don't show them the swamp in between the third and fourth quarters when they're playing Tom Petty, and then compare it to what Doak does between the third and fourth quarters. And I love Burt Reynolds to death, but Florida won that battle. That is an awesome thing. That is it's only been since Tom Petty died, which was like 8 years ago. So it's not a long tradition, but it's by far their best tradition. It's still not as cool as the stuff Florida State does, except for the Smokey and the Bandit song. But that won't back down. That's one of the coolest new traditions in sports. So do not show them that at all costs. Keep that away from them.
Or show them when they were doing it in 2023, and then Tate Rodemaker was like, "Got some for you."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Got
exactly.
some for you.
They lost to Tate Rodemaker and Trey Benson. So yeah, you wonder though, because you talk to we have friends and buddies that I've talked to a bunch of Florida State fans that didn't go to school here, didn't even live in Florida, and I'm like, how did you become a fan? And it's always like, oh, I saw him on TV one time when I was 8, or my dad liked this one player, so I started watching him, or the helmets were cool. And it always takes just a little something. So when you're
small
a kid,
kernel, man, such a small
to turn
kernel.
you into a lifelong fan.
Yeah.
And the fact that your daughter seems to have won a lot of money on the orange and blue, winning a chance, that might be hard to overcome. That might have been the kernel that makes her a Gator. Just try your best.
Oh yeah, see the things she likes. Maybe there's certain like clothing she likes. Let's get garnet and gold colors. Let's plant some kind of subversive things so that she likes those colors, and that's why I like the Niners. I mean, my brother liked the Niners. I'm like, man, the Niners look so sharp in the red and the gold.
Oh, right, yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at these
Well, I
guys.
tell you this, too. Tell her and be honest with her right away. Be frank. Say, don't be a fan later. If you're not a Florida State fan now, stay away. Don't be a fan later now.
Amen.
Jump on the bandwagon now when it's not as full.
All right, check out warchant.com. We've got practice stuff coming up even later today. So they did a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday schedule this week as opposed to Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, which you figure they would have done that next week because it's Easter. But who am I to talk anything about scheduling? By the way, real quick, Corey, were they playing a lot of music during the scrimmage?
Yeah, some.
Are they?
Yeah. Why?
Felt good walking to interviews on Tuesday because they were actually practicing outside for a little bit, which I don't know if they've done that at all. Because, I'm constantly walking down that sidewalk between Hauser and the IPF, and they're usually inside, I feel like. But they were outside it for a certain portion of Tuesday's practice, and I've never heard the team as loud and encouraging and like hooping and holdering.
Yeah, man.
as it
Ira
ever
even asked
did
that.
a year or so
Ira
ago.
asked that on Tuesday. He's like, "Is that coming from the foot?" Because we were in the museum again. Sorry, we were in the place where we do interviews. There's nothing about that is a museum. And we could hear it from where we were sitting. And I was like, "Is that the football team?" I'm like, "Yeah, man," because it was rambunctious. That's why I was curious when he came in and said he didn't like some of the stuff he saw at practice, because it certainly sounded energetic.
Yeah, maybe it was manufactured because he didn't like the beginning of it. But yeah, it was cool to hear that soundtrack of a football practice because there was music playing, but it was very low. And I'm like, look at this, because I can't remember. And I know it was one of the observations Ira made after the scrimmage was just like during the nutritional refueling periods. Guys would usually just kind of scatter about last year, but he talked about during the scrimmage, it seems like guys were really congregating together. And yeah, there just might be a little bit more of a spirit to this team than last year, obviously. And I don't know if it's because the music was playing so damn loud or, the losses were piling up and I didn't really care as much, but it just did not seem like there was a lot of, like when they would celebrate a big play, it was very almost tongue in cheek where it's like, oh yeah, finally we made a big play. Let's all Let's all go chase down Darion in the end zone, knowing that he's not going to catch one on Saturday. But let's have fun now, everybody.
Sure.
But it just felt like there was a level of energy that was going on. So we'll see if that can be replicated. We'll hear what the coach has to say. Check it out over on warchant.com. We'll have stories all weekend long, and all the videos will be up on our YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube as well. We'll be back, I think, we'll do a Monday show. I'll be in Jacksonville. We'll do a Monday show. Corral Rise and Overcome.
All right, perfect.
We'll do that. How are the Braves doing real quick on the way out? Have they won a game yet?
They've won 2. They're 2-8 or 2-9.
Ooh.
2-9. Yeah, 2-9. They blew a game on Wednesday night. So yeah, they lost to the Phillies. So they are 2-9. Hey, better than 1-10.
Better than 2-10.
Better than 2-10. We'll see what that happens to later today.
He's Corey Mazal. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.